have no idea. Mine's gone blank. So, Manchester SEO podcast is actually the host has become the guest, and the cameraman has become the host. And George is here today, looking very pretty with his hair. And people seem to want to hear what rubbish I've got to say. So
nice. So yeah, I'm going to be doing the questions today. So
palms are sweaty. Is this what happens to everyone?
I want to ask you the classic question.
Yeah.
So tell me about yourself.
Well, where do I begin?
How long have you got?
How long have you got? Yeah, the older you get, you've got the added kind of thing of forgetting more than you can remember. So break it down a little bit. I went to university. I wasn't especially academic. I went through clearing and decided to do computer science, from going probably a week before to being more physio and sports science related.
When you say computer science, are you talking like if you're getting hacked, if you're getting that kind of stuff? What do you mean by computer science?
It was quite a wide range of things. It was mainly focused around development and coding.
Oh, and boring stuff.
Yeah, I'm not a coder.
Yeah,
I realised that in the first lecture, and it wasn't very difficult. And then, so I kind of forced my way through that. Finished a few years after I should have done, and then, which is another story altogether. University was great. It was
which uni was it again?
It was Aberystwyth University.
Oh right, so
on the coast,
one of the smallest towns in the world.
Yeah.
Cities actually, isn't it? It's got a cathedral, hasn't it?
Don't think so.
Has it not got a cathedral?
Not that I know of. I spent 5 years there. I have no idea.
That's a good point, yeah.
Church was not the kind of the forefront of my...
It's like a Welsh Macclesfield, isn't it?
It's very like that. So everyone knows what you do. It's essentially a load of students that are mainly Manchester, London and Birmingham come to Aberystwyth for the term, and then they go away. So it's like a bit of a ghost town. And but there's 60 pubs in the 2 mile radius, and everyone had a lot of fun, and I was there to play sport and talk to people.
Yeah, because you did cricket, right?
The cricket is main sport, yeah.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have gone there if I didn't play cricket. And it's such a good sport for the social side of things, especially at university, because you only play during exam time in the summer, which probably didn't help exams, but in between that you do a lot of socialising and get to know a lot of people, you have a lot of fun, and we certainly did that. No, I did love university, and then I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew I wasn't really a coder. By that point, I remember reading an article when I was doing my A-levels that someone was earning £1,000 a week. Well, it was £1,000 a day coding in the city in London. I thought, I'll have a bit of that. So I changed everything and did computer science.
Right.
No one said, James, don't do that. That's not you. I just did it, and everyone was like, hold on, what? I think everyone was thinking, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But I did it anyway. And then graduated and started looking for jobs, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I didn't really want to be a coder.
That's the standard thing, isn't it? Do your degree, pay a load of money to do it, or you might not have done, but then not know what you're doing.
Yeah, well, I still have a bit of a student loan, which after so many years should not be.
I was going to say, it should hopefully be disappearing soon.
Let's not talk about that. I went for an interview, which I thought was it was with a recruitment company. And I thought they were going to kind of discuss what kind of roles would be good. And then I ended up, they were offering me a job as a recruitment, as a resourcer at first, and where you're working for a consultant and you're resourcing candidates for jobs, and then I hope you do well enough to then get promoted and have your own desk and you start your own.
And this is presumably before LinkedIn. and things like
LinkedIn
that.
had just started.
So, but were you actually
Literally.
using it for recruitment, or was it you
No.
just literally getting sent in CVs by email or
Yeah, it was,
that kind of stuff?
they had a lot of job sites. They're still around. So you've got, Monster and CW Jobs and Total Jobs and stuff like that. So we used 4 or 5 of them, and it was IT recruitment. And it was the best thing really for learning how to communicate with people and to sell a bit, which you need in every walk of life.
And obviously the commissions must have been a bit attractive as well. But
yeah, I mean they are if you get them.
Yeah.
You start doing well as a resourcer, and then you start with nothing as a consultant, and it took a long time to get going. And I think I probably left just as it would have been all right.
Why is that?
I was sick of being on the phone all day.
But just constant cold calling kind of stuff, or
it wasn't. You'd have the hour in the morning that you do cold calls.
Yeah.
And the whole process that was interesting, but I really struggled getting on the phone in the end.
Oh really?
Yeah. I don't know how it developed, but I certainly wish I'd talked to the boss about it at the time, because I think he was a bit kind of confused as to what was going on and all that. And I ended up moving to like an advertising sales company.
Oh, nice.
Online sales, online advertising, hotels, caterers, and venues, and which is okay, but it was still sales, and I was struggling with the idea of sales. I wanted to move away from it.
Is that similar to what Helen Tebay was saying about sort of the resilience with it, like having to constantly call people, go through the rejection of it, call people, go through all that just on a daily basis, basically?
Yeah.
It does. I think even people who say it doesn't affect them, I think it does, because it is just a lot of not fun conversations, really, isn't it?
Yes. Sometimes, I mean, like we say, it's like what's the worst that can happen? They can say no, but for some reason that can affect you, and I really struggled with that at the time, and never really had anyone that could support me through it.
Yeah.
So I didn't talk to anyone. I kind of kept to myself, and had a few days off sick, and thought, what the hell am I doing? Just didn't want to go in.
Yeah.
Moved away, and then I kind of flirted in between jobs for a while. The odd sales jobs here and there, and then I started working for a software company as a kind of middleman project guy. And actually, no, there was a job before that, which was Nuffield Health, where
I remember you saying,
surgical instruments, and setting up units around the country to clean surgical instruments.
Sounds fun.
But it was an introduction to project work, and that interested me at the time, and realised it is all about people and about talking to people, and away from selling and needing to hit targets, which I think is where the issues always came from. That it was quite nice to be able to find I could get people to do what I wanted them to do, and became a kind of skill that has taken me through until now.
Yeah, so I take it so where was it exactly where you went towards SEO? Where you're like, right, that's the landing point after recruiting, sales, surgical equipment, like SEO.
Yeah. So SEO, my first touch point was at university in terms of, because Google was just coming around at the time, or just coming to be used a bit more.
Didn't know they had Google in the 70s.
Let's not swear on the podcast, but there's 2 of them for you. It was kind of late 90s, early 2000s. So, realized the kind of the data behind what's on the page that might make a difference. And then with the software company I worked for, I was put in charge of bringing in an SEO person and then trying to understand the process of it, because we wanted to
optimize.
Sell a bit, get some more users on the software, and so they need to find find what it was and where to get it and how it works.
Yeah, it's a bit hard to ignore that kind of data when you're actually working within it, isn't it? Like one of the big things that you probably get as an agency now is that you have to rely on a lot of their knowledge, because they're obviously the ones working that business day in, day out, aren't they? You're not there with them. You've got to learn as much as you can and try and see it from their angle as well, can't you?
Yeah, every business is different. Every business owner is different. And that's important these days. What makes you different from everyone else? Because invariably that's why people will buy from you and why Google will rank you. Because if you're saying the same thing as everyone else, it's duplicate content for one thing, and why would it rank you above anyone else? You have to be individual.
Yeah.
And finding that out is the kind of the secret sauce in terms of, well, okay, that's you. How do we convey that on your site in the way that Google likes?
Yeah, exactly. It's collaboration, isn't it?
It is.
It's not getting. I think a lot of agencies get that wrong, because they go and you might look at someone and go, "Oh no, we're going to do our thing to your site, or we're going to do our thing to your work." When in reality, it should be a bit of your sort of ideas mixed in with their tone of voice, their sort of ploy with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and there's a mixture, because sometimes what a business owner thinks is good or what they are or what they want to be is probably not what they're not. It's we've all done it, really.
Yeah.
But
obviously you literally just you wanted to go towards SEO, and then going from just wanting to do that to agency, that's not just done.
There's many years in between. So that was kind of 2011, 2012. And SEO was very different back then. And then I was headhunted by another company who did the same thing, and which was nice. That hadn't happened before, and that was good. And then I started working for another company where I had a bit of time extra, and I started thinking about, well, could I do another business outside of that? Because I knew about recruitment, and I thought there was a bit of a gap in the industry. And so, especially with the contacts I'd got from working in the hospitality industry and selling advertising for it, I came up with this job site for the hospitality industry called Lobster Jobs. And it's the same old problem that people have. I had 300 vacancies on, but no one was finding them. No one was looking at it. No one was using the site. It's just stood there doing nothing. So I contacted an agency to do some work, and this is where the real kind of journey began, because nothing was being done as far as I could, and I was spending a lot of money. There was no visibility in the work done, or what the money has been used for, and strategy moving forwards. I had an idea what I wanted, but they weren't saying whether that was right or not. And the conversations on the phone were, weren't great. You'd say, "So, how's it going? What are you doing?" And I just hear this, someone's making noises while they're thinking. What we're thinking is, and it just gave me a load of industry bullshit about it. And of course, the pot of money disappeared and nothing had changed. And I ended up thinking, based on the guys I'd seen, how hard could it be? And so I decided, if I still believed in that kind of business, I'm going to have to pull my finger out.
Yeah, definitely.
I was like, I can still code, kind of. Not anymore. But, how hard could it be? What's the worst that could happen? And so I started looking into it and looking at using the project management expertise a little bit, and my competitive nature just to go, okay, well, how do we, there was lots of competition in the recruitment world.
Yeah, 100%.
And by that point, LinkedIn was going, caterer.com was the biggest one at the time, which was owned by Total Jobs, was a huge...
And presumably Indeed's about, and that's obviously a Goliath there as well, yeah.
Yeah.
I think, what time is this? 2000?
12, 13, 14.
I think that was when 15. I was looking for my first job after high school. So I was around that time I was using Indeed, and that's the only one I'd trust.
Indeed, yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed, yeah. They're still massive, and they'll probably have their own team in marketing doing everything for them. And they've been going 10 years longer than you have. So how do you compete with that? And that became my love of SEO, where maybe on the high street you can't compete with the major competitors, but online you can. And if you're looking at a simple SWOT analysis of what was going on, you could see, well, actually, they're really strong with the backlinks. They're really strong with their authority in the industry and their reach. Well, are they good on page? What's going on there? Schema had just started to come out, and you had Job Schema, and it went from having no visitors to like 15,000 straight away, because Google was just coming in, taking up off the jobs and putting them on for free on Google Jobs. And I was like, wow, this is the easiest thing ever. But then your website's busier. There's, there could be 1,000 people on there at one time, and then you've got issues with usability. How fast is it? Can it cope with that much traffic?
Yeah.
And then you've got to update your hosting and everything, and it became too expensive to keep going. But I learned a lot.
I bet, 100%. So it's like one of them classic cases, isn't it? If no one else is doing it properly, do it yourself. And but it seems like it's something that was your area, though, doesn't it? I don't think anyone can just go and say, yeah, I'm going to do the SEO. I'm going to SWOT analysis every other competitor and try and beat them. You obviously needed that competitive nature, the background you've had. That's probably played into it quite well.
So it became a bit of an interest in the background. My career in the software industry was taking off, and I was starting to get paid a lot more and dealing with a lot bigger clients, and so there was no point giving all that up to start something. So I didn't. I kind of delved into it every so often. I kept hearing stories of people that had used agencies and had a similar experience to me. I thought there's definitely a gap in the industry there for that. But then the company I was working for was private equity owned, hadn't hit the profitability rating for that year, and me and my manager and his manager and the other well-paid guy in the team were let go straight away. And that was 3 weeks before COVID.
Wow.
And so at the time I thought, I had 16 clients in 14 countries, all massive fuel retailers. And I thought, one of those will pick me up, no problem. The stuff, because they're using the software.
Yeah.
And they need someone that might know a little bit more about them and have experience of the other fuel industries, in different countries and how they price and the benefits to it. Let's go too much into that or geek out on fuel pricing, but
no,
it was it's a really cool industry and affects everything. There's some really clever people in it as well. But I contacted one of the clients in Spain, and he just said, "Look, no one's driving. No one's buying anything we're selling.
Yeah.
So we can't. There's no space. There's no need for you."
Makes sense.
Yeah. So I had a nearly 2-year-old boy at the time. So lockdown happened. I had 6 weeks with my boy, where his mum was working all the time. That she was doing up in the study, and I got this amazing time with him that I wouldn't have had normally.
Yeah,
because I'd be too busy working. But I still need to bring some money in because the bills didn't stop. But there's no furlough, no support that way, and because I hadn't started the business yet, there was no support for the business. There's that little area that kind of, I think people forgot, where it just wasn't, there was no support there. So COVID gave me the time to start networking and talking to people, because I thought, well, I've got nothing else to do. I might try to do a bit of SEO, and started networking, doing some help for smaller companies and lone sole traders that I'm not charging for at first, just getting some reviews, and it just kind of grew from there. Really. I thought, Jesus, I might have a business here.
So I presume, when did that first client come along? The very first one?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Because it's sort of the start of where the agency feel starts. Because I remember when we first got ours, and it was like, oh wow, that's monthly. That's a monthly retainer. That's it. And then I was like, this is going to be something. I just need to get more. And then it builds up. But that first one it's a big moment. That's really the start, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, some of the first ones was a company that. A Quokka Coffee, who made high quality instant coffee for offices, essentially.
Right, nice.
And they were trying to do that, and the guy that had set it up actually was in recruitment and had got me he'd put me forward to the recruitment agency for my first jobs, and it was lovely to have that kind of circle that came around and have a chat with him. And
shows massively about why networking is so good though as well.
Yeah.
Because some people might not count that as networking.
No.
But I don't know, I think it's almost like in high school, if you're mean to people in high school and you get out of high school, you can't rely on them any time in the future because they'll remember it. If you were a bit unreliable with this recruiter and this and that, they wouldn't have thought to go with you,
Yeah, and there's a lot about people with it and who people trust, and it's not worked out with every client that we've had for different reasons, but I hope I've tried to remain respectful and give them real clarity in what I've been doing in the work. And just had one leave recently that was just starting to take off, but it'd taken a bit longer than I thought. And I was like, please don't. Is that one
of the main challenges you sort of find?
Yeah, if Google was a member of staff, I would have fired it a long time ago. But it just doesn't, it
doesn't always play ball.
Insolent child, it just doesn't. It never does what you feel, and it's it just. I mean, I should come back to that, rewind that a little bit. In fact, Google SEO is a fascinating thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is the reason why everyone's so intrigued by it. And there's two sides of it. You've got the guidelines that you can all work to, or try to, that Google kind of says, or it puts out there in terms of, well, it's got to be user friendly. It's got to be mobile friendly, and it's got to, have unique content and all this kind of stuff. It likes H1 at the top of, they actually come out and said these things, that the title and the page URL and the H1 should all be the same. So you try and stick to those principles. But then there's the mysterious side, the intangibles, the things that make the difference, that aren't talked about or are speculated about or
even proven.
The
things that you are aware of are happening, but it's almost like it's in this mysterious sort of network of things that are going on, isn't it?
And that's why people call it the dark arts, or the funny ones I've heard are black magic and or voodoo. You just got this image of an SEO guy with a doll and putting pins in it and and all that kind of stuff. And there's elements of it which people think are black magic or dark arts, but these days they don't work. You used to be able to buy 1 million links and rank number one.
Yeah.
But that doesn't work anymore. It's a bit cleverer than that. It's, you can't spam it with anything. There's no quick fix.
Yeah.
So like AI with content at the moment, you could create 1,000 pages, but if they're not any good, if they're not individual, if they're not set out in the right way or structured properly, technically or content-wise, then it just won't be indexed. It won't be indexed. Google might, penalize the whole site, and that's it. So there's never any easy fix. It might work short term, but if you want to, with clients, you can't. People pay money. You can't play with that money. You have to do what works to the principles of what you understand. You're not going to be penalised for. And I've had conversations where they go, "Well, I want this now," and I was, "Well, this is how we would approach that. How long it takes to get there is a little bit of a grey area. From experience, it could be." Straight away, or if you're nearly there, but you just the pages aren't quite good enough, or But if you're a new site with a new URL, there's no credibility online with backlinks or any reviews or anything like that. It's going to take you a bit longer.
But when you're talking about a lot of these are things you've learned are happening from doing past jobs, past experience, past training. There's people now coming into it straight out of high school who are trying to jump into it based off maybe an online course, maybe a college course, maybe the GCSE. If there's a SEO GCSE out there, I don't know if there is. Where do they start with it? Because you've got that backlog of experience across all these different industries that it's affected, and you've noticed trends, and you've noticed that it's compiled to your view and outtake on it. They're not going to have that, and they're just going to want to go straight into SEO with none of that back experience. Where would you say they should start?
I'll come to that in a second, because that's a really good question. But why would they come to us because of that? We might have 20 or 30 clients at a time where we've got all the stats and all the data, and we know what we've done for them, and we know what industry, and we can see what the effect it's having. And Johnny came to me last week. He's the guy that's in charge of the SEO part of the business now. And he said, "Look, we did this for this client last month, and look at the change. I think we can apply this to this industry with this client and that client, and because of this, and this." So you can see trends. Yeah. And the great thing I love about Google is, or SEO in general. I don't love Google. Google can fuck off. And there's other reasons for my opinion on that at the moment. But the fascination is that it's constantly changing. Yeah. Especially since AI, the last 12 months, it's changed more than I've seen for the previous 10 years. It's been crazy. And, it's that ability to be able to adapt quickly and go, there was a thing with a content update a few years ago where we had a lot of financial clients that went, their ranks and their stats went down instantly. And we're like, what has happened here? Yeah. And we didn't know initially what the reason was. And then you hear things come out, and people have done testing, and there's lots of SEOs are much better testing than we are. But you can see what they're putting out there and what's happened. And it was to do with the content, that they all had similar pages saying the same thing, because and they all, the financial sector, you might refer to documents or websites or procedures or laws that and you might say that on the page, and they all had the same issue. So it was a thing of rewriting, maybe 150 pages of content to be more individual to that business, say what they do, and then you can refer to other things afterwards. And gradually they started going up again. But that's the beauty of SEO. Yeah. But without that, and if you're starting in the business and you see a client go down and you've got maybe one or two, you might not see that. And that's, the kind of benefits to us in terms of starting in SEO. It's dead easy. Do a course, get the basics. Because I always say like 60-70% of it is, and you can do in a day.
Yeah.
And the rest of it is from experience and adapting to what's going on.
Learning, yeah. Especially as said in the last 12 months, AI is, I know I search anything now. I'm actually hoping the Google AI pops up to tell me so I don't have to go on a site. That's the thing that I'm hoping a bit is, because I just can't be bothered.
That's really interesting.
Because sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't come up. I don't know why it doesn't.
Yeah.
But sometimes it doesn't come up. It might be low internet, I don't know, or it might just be a question
Not
that's
doing
a bit
it for everything.
Far-fetched.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It takes a lot of processing power for AI.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything that it has to do for that against the processing it takes just to deliver 10 results. I saw a great post recently, Sam that came on talking about SEO.
Yeah.
Sam Penny is saying, Google, some of the search results for Google now, you don't see any businesses till the bottom of the page because they've got AI in there, they've got more sponsored ads, and then you've got the other people search for or whatever, and images and shopping ads and all this kind of thing. So the usability, they talk about being user friendly. I don't think that's very user friendly.
Because you have to go through so many different things that people are pushed onto that before you even get close, just to the natural top. Yeah,
it will harm them. It always used to be, we want to produce, we want to deliver the best results possible for the user, and the big thing about Google is it was white. There was no ads on it. It was quick and simple, no pop-ups or anything like that.
Yeah.
And there's no pop-ups now, but it's only a matter of time before something like that happens, and it's changing all the time. And the impact on clients is that, for likes of branded searches seem to be going down quite a lot, and they're not getting as many visits. It's hard to quantify that because you might still have more traffic, but it's not as much as you'd expect because other things are going down, and you have to adapt to that. But it's interesting what Sam said, that actually the buying intent is more if someone's actually made the effort then to go on the site. But the implications for Google are that if you're we're seeing a lot more traffic from Bing going to sites if you look at analytics, and if you I've seen lots of adverts for Opera and things like that. Another, browser that is was used years ago, probably in education or something like that, even before I was around, and it hasn't been for ages. But actually, people are seeing a little bit of a need now that people are looking for other options.
Yeah, it must be getting quite misunderstood with SEO now, because I think to an untrained eye, someone might turn around and go, "Oh, why do you need it? Because the AI searches it for me and it gives me the results for me." But I think it's still got a place there, hasn't it? I think that's quite a bit of a misunderstood concept. Would you say that's sort of the main misconception you're getting nowadays with it?
Yeah, they've been talking about a lot of things, how it will change and what it will look like in the future, and no one really knows. I was telling someone the other day that SEO could be dead next week. It could be. There could be a change where SEO companies and not organic SEO isn't required. So where do we fit? What do we do? How do you adapt to what's going on? And it's kind of the excitement of the industry. You don't know what's going to happen. All you can do is do the best you can for your clients and try and give them as much value as you can. And that's how we're trying to do the work as we go on. People usually come to us because they want. The main worry about SEO is there's a lack of understanding. But also, they might have been burnt in the past.
Yeah, I've heard that quite a few.
Might be unrealistic expectations. But also, they want visibility and work done. They don't just want to pay out a lot of money and have no idea of what's happened, what work have you done, why, and how does that fit into the strategy. So one thing we always try and do is do monthly video reports that give that idea of clarity and visibility of that and why. And if it's not always positive, especially if in a seasonally affected business, where it might be busier in the summer than the winter.
Peaks and troughs are peaks and troughs.
Yeah. But you have to then review what it was last year, and there's ways of giving that kind of view on things that make sense, and if things don't always go up, then there's a reason for it, and you just got to be honest with it.
Yeah, 100%.
People are very reasonable if you don't bullshit them and you tell them the truth and why.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like it really does depend though on, I think, the agency. Like your approach to that is that you're reporting back to them, whereas a lot of people would be like, "Oh, things aren't going well. Let's just hope they don't call us this week, and hopefully something happens next week." Have you found that your sort of approach to it is why people come over to you and sort of maybe that if they've been burnt in the past, they try it again with yourself, and then they see, right, it wasn't SEO, it's the agency they were with, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, not all agencies are bad, not all SEOs are bad. It might come across that way. Actually, some really, really clever people in the industry, and they inspire you to think in the right way. But actually, a lot of people are attracted to the fact of my story and how I got into it, and then how I tried to. As you grow and you get busier, it's hard to keep those fundamentals. And, sometimes you have to go back and review. Well, actually, we have to do this. This is a non-negotiable.
On an agency perspective, it's not only about like your approach to it; it's about what the client's expectations are as well. Because they're chucking a couple £100 a month.
Yeah.
And after the first month, nothing's happened. They sort of, I've had that before. And it's not fun because in my opinion, the long game is the game to play. If you want short-term goals, great. We can chuck a load of baity things on, and maybe something will work. But in reality, is that going to consecutively bring in a community and an audience? And it's the same with yourself, isn't it? As well. Which is your sort of favour? Do you think the short term, the long term, or maybe a bit of a mix?
That's a good question. Ideally, you want to create results straight away, and that can depend on many things. It's usually a more long-term thing with organic SEO, Google ads or paid ads. So whether it's social or search engine related, it can be a good way of kind of creating some interest and traffic while you're working on the organic side of things, and then you can reduce your spend a bit when you start ranking organically. That all depends on your budget, and of course, the more you pay, the more work we can do. So it's more likely to, work faster, or you're more likely to compete in a more competitive industry. There's grey areas in that. Obviously, you want to get results as quickly as possible, and we're kind of, as we're evolving, we work differently now to give a bit of a boost straight away than we did a couple of months ago. It changes so much as content has become more and more important, and good content. One of the things we noticed in the last 6 months is Google is de-indexing a lot more pages.
Right.
So if you think about it, a few years ago, I think there was 6 billion pages online. There might be 10 now, might be more. How do you categorize and rank and check that they're not offensive or whatever rules they have, and deliver that to people around the world. Well, it's hard. It takes a lot of processing power. So, okay, if you're not getting any traffic and it's not a good page, we're just going to de-index you. Why should we? Why should we have you on the things? So a lot of the time now it's like, you can see a real drop-off of indexed pages. Well, let's look at that. How, what pages do we want on there? How do we improve that? And so, half the, you can get a real, almost instant improvement by improving those pages, creating internal links to link them together to other important pages that relate to them, and maybe putting them out on social media to get some traffic on them, and Google starts going, all right, okay, that seems like it's a good page. It's showing all the signals. And
do you find that all those different tactics can be misunderstood sometimes by clients? Obviously, they're maybe expecting a certain thing, and then you might be just saying, "Oh, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this, and this is working, this is not, that is," or whatever methods you may be using. Do you ever find that's
comes down to communication?
Yeah.
And you say this is what we're doing and why, and usually there's a buy-in. The only issue we ever have is if you're creating content for someone and they keep saying, no, it's not us, it's not our tone, it's not. Even if you change it, it's still, and then you end up doing nothing. And that's the problem that we've had a lot, where we've done a lot of work, but there's been no changes to their site online visibly. There's no added content or improved content, because you just can't. They're just not happy to approve it. And
would you say that's one of the red flags when you with a client, maybe?
Yeah. We got it at the moment. I'm able to have an honest conversation now based on the past and what's happened, because I don't want to lose them as a client. You came to me for a reason. Let's get it done.
100%.
And what does it matter? Essentially, you do your very best, and we're very good at creating content. And, the copywriting part of the business is what we're really good at. Creating content that ranks, and identifying keywords and phrases that would really add traffic. And so that's the competitor analysis, and keyword analysis is our sweet spot. And so I don't know why I was telling you all that, but there's in terms of its clarity, isn't it? Of conversation.
No, some, like in my head, I'm always like thinking about asking, what advice would you give to someone who's got to deal with a client like that? But I think it's almost better advice is, what advice would you give to the client on how they're going to collaborate well with their agency? If someone's going to hire yourself, how can they get the most out of you? Because obviously it's not by stopping you at every hurdle, telling you their opinion, forcing that upon you, saying, no, we don't want it like that, we want it like this. That's going to stop you doing your job. What advice would you give to be the ideal client for yourself?
I actually don't mind that, because then we can fix it.
Right.
It's when you don't hear back for 3-4 weeks, and then you get an email, right, well, nothing's happened. What's the plan? What's the strategy? And like, read your emails. There's 4 or 5 of them, bits of content you're not approved or looked at. We needed them, and so you need that collaboration, like you say, and the constant touch points. And half of that's me as well, and how you manage it, and you just try and learn from any issues you've had in the past, and try and make it a bit better in the future.
100%. So in terms of the future of SEO,
who knows?
I mean, the thing is there's so many different scopes for what you can do with SEO. You can do a podcast, you can do blogs, case studies, social media. You can go to every end of the earth. You can be labeling every photo in your website with your keywords. There's a million different things. Where do you see it going? Like where if you had to predict?
Predictions it's so hard to predict. It's changing so much. What I thought would happen last year hasn't, and it's changing so much. I think for a client, it's important to think, well, where are my people? Where are the people who are going to buy from me? How old are they? What do they do for a living? Where will they see us? And put yourself there, whether it's organically on a search engine or social media or a podcast. People, that's one of the reasons why we started it, because I thought, well, how does Google or any search engine recognize you as a good business to put in a search result higher than someone else? Well, what does a real business do? Does some real world shit, doesn't it? A podcast or a radio interview, or you might put some news out in a paper, or you might sponsor a local team, or and it's like, well, what can you do? Like Sam said, if you're doing something good, don't be afraid to tell local newspaper, especially if you're a local business.
100%.
And a shop, tell people, and then people read it, and you're in their psyche at some point all the time. So whatever happens and whatever it is, we could all just be, we've all seen Back to the Future and things like that, where, we're all driving around in hover cars and people are searching for things, and they're doing it, and or Minority Report, where they're predicting who's going to commit a crime next, and you're getting arrested before it happens. Who knows what's going to I don't want to predict anything, because it's
100%.
Utterly mad.
Well, in the next 5 or 10 years, I mean, already if you look at schools and things, when I think I left school in 2014, and we were still getting homework in paper form, which seems like some sort of weird luxury now, because you could get your mate to write it for you, Whereas now, it's all digital after COVID. The teacher knows what time you did it at night. They know everything about what you did. That if you got rid of a mistake to put in a new one, the rest of it, everything digital. People got this idea of working from home. They never go to the office. Have that culture. What skills do you reckon they're going to need for the next 5 or 10 years? Because I don't think you can. I mean, it might sound like an old-fashioned thing to say, but I feel like you do need to be in the office. I feel like you do need to be talking to people, learning, and not through a screen. But I don't know. It could just be old-fashioned.
I shared a post from, it was a recording, it was John Amici talking. He's a former NBA basketball player, grew up in Manchester. I think he lives over here now. Huge guy, lovely guy. And he's talking about, why would people want to come into the office? What is it that makes them want to come in? And it's not the working harder and getting more stuff done. It's the conversations that make you human, that collaborate, you find out about people that you work with, that gives you more engagement with them. It's that kind of, can we get a coffee? Can we talk about this, face to face? The humanization that everyone's craving. Some people don't know they're craving it, but as everything becomes more technology focused, I've got a 6-year-old boy, and I'm incredibly aware of thinking about what's the future going to be like for him.
Yeah.
He's in his 3rd year of school, or 2nd year, I lose track. They name them differently these days. I haven't got a clue what it is. Like just a dinosaur walking around in the playground. But he's only young. He's doing homework every night.
Yeah. I can't remember doing that either. He said.
I objected to it in high school.
Yeah.
And that's just my psyche.
But I think back then, you got it. I can't remember doing it in primary school. That's not a lot, not a huge amount. Maybe the odd little project or the odd sheet, but maybe 1 or 2 sheets a week.
Yeah.
And that was it. Whereas now it seems like they get home, they log on, there's been another 5 bits of homework for 5 different things being uploaded to the little portals and things like that.
I mean, who knows? All I know is that from my point of view, I crave a bit of the human aspect. I think Google is trying to work out what's human and what's not. It's using AI to identify that. And if you can be more human in what you do, that will only benefit you in your business and where you are. And what does that do? It means talking to people. They can see who you are. Because if you pay money, there's a trust involved in that. And I think any business at any level has put money in and they've not got back what they what they expected, and so that idea of the human connection and the activity is really important. And as AI starts taking over everyone's jobs, we'll then be going, well, what do we do?
Yeah.
And what do I like doing? I have no idea, because all I did was look at my phone all day, which I do too much of.
Yeah.
But like, what am I going to create? What am I going to build? We need to talk to people, and then everyone's scared of meeting face to face because it's,
well, it's one of the most human things to meet face to face, and yet people seem daunted by it.
I was talking to Helen T-Bay, and she said people in sales don't want to make a call. Young salespeople don't want to make a call. They're not used to calling because everything's text based, and which is crazy.
Yeah, I remember her saying, because they said, we sent 10 emails, and she goes, I just picked up the phone and got hold of them straight away, and it's exactly that. Yeah, it's just, you can't beat it. It does work, but there's a bit of a fear around it.
How do you stand out? How do you make people want to have a conversation? And I think about it all the time. I'm no better than anyone else, but I think it's important to go, actually, I kind of connected with that, and I'll do something about it.
And I think what most people forget is that they normally feel good when they end up actually pushing themselves out the door, pushing themselves onto the phone. Normally actually have such a better feel. You don't feel anything when you answer an email. But when you talk to someone, you might have a laugh and a joke with them, and there is that side of things.
Yeah. And I never understood having to go to the office every single day. And the cost involved in that, and the time that it took. I used to work in Northwich, and I did 30 miles a day. And you're like, but then you'd be stuck in traffic, and if the football teams are playing, it could be 2 hours to get home. And so there's 3 hours of the day I'm stuck in a car. I thought there has to be a better way of doing it. But I love going in the office. Yeah. But also thought sometimes work from home.
100%. 100%.
That comes down to management style.
So, in terms of SEO, I think, well, I know a bit more about SEO, not than you, but I know a little bit more than the average person. But when I think SEO, I'm thinking blogs. First thing that no one pops into my head, ranking. What is the actual areas of SEO that's sort of like available to you as like an SEO agency? Can you just do blogs? Can you just do case studies? What should you be doing?
So, I think if it's just you and you're a business and you want to do it, make sure that the homepage says who you are, what you do, and the brand name and that kind of thing. And then think about what. Still stuff in my face. Think about what your clients or potential customers, what questions they'll have, and list down the questions, and then write a blog about that question, and answer it in the best way you can, and use bullet points, and make sure that that it's very clear, and it's it doesn't have to be formal. But if you're answering the questions around what you do, Google likes that, and then link it back to the service. So if it was SEO, for example, then you would write something about an aspect of it. I did something on internal links the other day, and then you can link it back to the SEO page, and then that bit of content is then related to that page, and it gives you more authority for that topic. Right. And just keep doing that.
If you've got like a business owner out there that's out there, like, I guess, doing what you were doing for that recruitment page. Where do they start? Do they have to sit there and think, right, what are my keywords? What do I rank for? If I've got a cafe in Macclesfield. Should I be putting Cafe Macclesfield all over my page, you know?
Yeah. I mean, no. I mean, it needs to be natural. It needs to say it in the right places. So if you're a cafe in Macclesfield, you'll rank for that anyway, because you'll have your address. Make sure your address is on your website, on the contact page. And you can put Macclesfield in the title. Sorry.
No, sorry.
It's coming back. But, you know, it's being really clear about where you are, what you do, not spamming it, being natural in the way it's put out there. Do the search. Look at the competition, see how they do it. If it's ranking number one, it's ranking number one for a reason. So, and take it down. How are they doing it? How many headings do they have? What are the headings? What's the content? Don't copy it, but do it in your own words.
Why would you advise them not to copy it? That's going to be the first thing everyone does, right?
Yeah.
They see it and they're like, well, they're doing something right. Jump in on it.
It's duplicate content. Google goes, it's the same.
Right.
You know, why would we rank you up there as well if it's the same? And you're a different place, a different venue, different. I won't copy anything. You know, we say there's no easy ways about it. You've got to, and it's quite a good exercise actually. Good thing to do is get someone who doesn't understand what you do to look at your website and see if they get an idea of what you do.
Yeah.
From your website. And you know, it's the feedback from that's really important. You know, that we didn't. You know, what do you do? Well, okay, we need to look at that and we need to assess how we do it and what the message is and who we are.
Yeah.
And put that on your site.
Yes, that's where the creativity comes in, isn't it? In terms of the content creation, because you can't just copy, and whatever space you're then going to go into has to be the space that's going to get you up the rankings. Whatever's going to be different from that person who's at the top. It's got to be an idea that's going to be new and put you above them. So otherwise, as you said, Google will see it's duplicating, you know.
We've had it recently. It's quite a good example, actually. So video production and photography, they can be put on the same page. Similar equipment and things like that, you know. But actually, the two different things according to Google. If you're looking at it, if you want to rank for, and you can't have a URL that is video production and photography, you know.
Right.
So it's best to have video production. Have the URL video-production, H1 video production, and then you can talk about the services around video production. What the questions people are asking. You know, what is it? What do you get from someone doing that for you?
Yeah.
Or deliverables, and how's it done? How do you do it? You know, what do they need to do? Do they need to contact you to have a conversation about it and see what their requirements are? Yeah. You need to put that in the site, in that page. And it's funny how you'll start ranking for video production in Macclesfield or Manchester, depending on where you are and what you're trying to achieve.
So with that in mind, right, that's some of the more understandable surface level-ish SEO. What's technical SEO?
Technical's the stuff in the background. So how fast is it? Is it mobile friendly? You know, are there any broken links? You know, Google sends its bots out and it crawls your site. So it'll send these things out and they come and they crawl your site and they follow links. And I always say if you've got a broken link on your site, which happens with old websites where you remove a page and you add another one, but the link to that page is still the same.
Right.
And so you click it and you get an error. And that's, if Google goes, oh, there's an error there, oh, there's another one. And if it's in every single page, you had one where it was the same link, but there was 500 pages. So it came up as 500 errors.
Yeah.
But you can fix it in one fix, you know. And so it's easy for Google to go, okay, well, I'm starting to see signs that this might not be a good site to deliver to search engines, to our users. Because invariably they want users to keep coming back and use it. And so they want to deliver the best results possible to them, so they keep coming back, and then they can charge for their ads.
Right.
And so if you look at that in terms of your site, and is it good site? Is it mobile friendly? Is it fast? Are there any pop-ups that are annoying? And anything that you would think is annoying or you don't like in a website, it's a great way of doing a little audit yourself.
Yeah.
And say, okay, well, I don't like that. I'm not gonna put that in my site.
So I've heard something, which is the black hat.
Yeah.
SEO side of things. Or it sounds almost like it's not cheating, but being a bit cheeky with the SEO. What is black hat marketing with the SEO?
You got black hat and white hat SEO, they call it. Black hat, it's kind of things that you would do, not necessarily to the law of what you should do.
Right.
And little techniques to kind of bend the rules and get results that others might not. What's an example? I mean, there was lots in terms of link building, which were considered that way, and Google became, clever at identifying these techniques that SEOs are doing, and then they were getting penalized for it.
Right.
So Google adapts, people get penalized, and so the quick fix is gone. There was a lady on YouTube I saw had a load of old mobile phones. I think she had about 600 mobile phones that were all pay-as-you-go, and they'd start them all up, and then they'd do the search for the client, click on the client wherever they were, and go through this kind of process of going through the site and contacting them, and that user-generated signal would then go into the results, and they'd start going up the results.
Right.
And it blew my mind a little bit. And I think it was more of a tongue-in-cheek test, in fact. But I mean, what a waste of everyone's time and energy and money.
It sounds very much, because obviously I do social media, but I see other social media managers commenting on their clients' posts.
Yeah.
And I'm sat there going, you've just boosted the engagement. How are you tracking what's organic and what's not? Because when you come to look at your stats, you don't know that was an actual person who's found the content and commented, or if it's you or not. You've got to then go back into every individual post. It's like Twitch streamers, they have to get 5 average viewers or something for a month overall to get their things. So what does everyone do? Get all their old phones out, they log in, and they put it on their Twitch that they can do it, so they can become a subscriber. It seems like it's something that, if anything, if you want actual growth, it's just going to muddy the waters, sort of thing, isn't it? Doing stuff like that. And
if you're a client, so each one of your profiles has got its own little profile. So Google thinks that's the kind of person that it needs to be delivered to, or I mean, Google owns YouTube, don't they? So it's a similar thing.
Yeah.
And so are they delivering it then to the wrong people?
Exactly.
And then you don't get the uplift and the take. And then they became, I read somewhere about if they saw the same group of listeners and people commenting and liking all the time, in the same way, they were identifying that this was unnatural, and then not putting your videos out. And so you get less traction.
I see it. I've seen it a lot myself. I did a gaming channel a long time ago. We used to put it into a group chat with mates, and they would say, "Can you share this, please?" But the thing is, if then they don't react to it when I haven't asked to them, when it's in their feed, it's going to debunk the content. And same with then, I know people who've put their own podcast up, and they've got a group of mates who share it on all socials and everything.
Yeah.
What sort of statistics are they actually getting that they can act on and go, right, this is where we need to go? Because they don't know what's going on. Because the analytics are all over the place, and it'll probably take a long time to recover as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's like this, they say it takes about 100 episodes for anything to take off, which is a lot of work. I mean, is this number 40?
maybe just over,
Yeah. And it's not so much for fame, it's more to add value to people and to give. But that's the idea, where you don't get anything from vanity metrics. If it comes naturally, then you can make educated decisions how to improve that.
100%.
And you see it with LinkedIn a lot, where you get people who have these groups and they say, share it on this. Can you like and comment?
Like for like, follow for follow.
It's the same people every time on your post now.
And the vanity metrics it does work vanity metrics wise. It looks good. But in terms of actual direction and growth, there's nothing, And there's, we've had clients before and they've said, but if I share this thing 15 times into all these Facebook groups, more people see it. And I'm like, yes, but you don't know how much, I think that was the heating, but you don't know how much organic traffic is there at all, because you're pushing it in places where it shouldn't be pushed. And then your statistics all over the place.
I mean, Facebook's an interesting thing, talking to other businesses and how they grew theirs has made me want to start this, because found it really fascinating. There's a lady who runs a tattoo place, but they remove tattoos that people aren't happy with, or they were a bad decision, when they were drunk on holiday or something like that, and they just want to get rid of it. And what they did was they joined all the tattoo Facebook groups.
Yeah.
But they did it in the right way, where they people were talking about one they weren't happy with, they were offering a bit of advice, a bit of value, and then people could see, actually they're a tattoo removal place. And they've not actually come and see us or tried to sell anything, but they've added value to the ecosphere, and people have come to them and go, can you help me with it? And they grow the business from that.
It's very similar actually with Red Bull's marketing. Red Bull, if you look on their Instagram pages, Facebook pages, you will not see a can of Red Bull anywhere. Right. You just see people doing mental stuff, and that's it. That's everything purely it. Yeah. But it's never the actual product is in the photo, which is very smart. It's done the trick. Yeah. People focus on all these other things they do, but in reality, they are in their psyche, like you were saying earlier. It's there. They know exactly what Red Bull is. Everyone knows what Red Bull is. I think there's a can over there. But exactly. So how do you measure success?
I didn't think about these ones. Success is a funny thing, isn't it? And whether it's... I've never really been money motivated. I might have thought I was, but I wasn't. And the success is seeing... if you see taking on people and seeing their lives develop because you're paying their wages and their expertise is growing and they get more confidence, that's the best thing about running a business for me, rather than everything else. Also, you get a lot of choice as a business owner. Yeah. And I like that, it's nice to be able to have grown something that I can fund my life with and live and pay, have a roof over my head, but I'm kind of self-sufficient within that. Yeah. And that's success for me. And money thing kind of comes and goes and comes with whatever good stuff you do.
Yeah. Money seems to be it's similar to like watching The Walking Dead. You've got the drama, the actual storylines, everything else, the journeys that go around it, but then in the background you've got the zombies. And it's similar with that with money. You've got everything that you do, the people you meet, the people you see, networking. But money does have to drive one thing or another, otherwise it won't all be there, will it? So it's completely.
Both got friends that spent hundreds of thousands on one car.
Yeah.
And the car isn't what defines them. It's how they got to that after 60 years of life and work and everything that they've done that is the interesting part about it, and that's just a bit of fun, really.
Yeah.
Money, if you treat it like it doesn't exist and you enjoy what you do, and you obviously need it to a certain extent for life.
It's a similar reason why a lot of people don't sell their businesses when they get offered money. You always hear about the ones who sell them, You don't really hear about the ones who don't sell their businesses, because a lot of the time, what would they do if they didn't have the business? Start a new one. They've got what they could be in the 30s, 40s, and then they've got another 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
There's so many. The guy who made Huel, he sold one business, went and started living on the Bahamas or whatever, and with his millions, and then he got bored after about 2 months and went back to setting up another business. You needed something to do. Humans can't just sit down and they get bored,
Yeah.
So money it sounds like a motivator for a lot of things, but I think really it's what gives
it's
you
a product of
purpose.
Doing something good, isn't it?
100%. So, what advice would you give to someone who's going to try and get into SEO?
To SEO?
Direct,
What I'd say is the future of SEO is murky in many ways, but it is a fascinating industry, and you've got to be able to adapt to changes quickly, and work hard and communicate with people. Seeing patterns in behaviour for sites and in social media, and adapt to it, and look at how you can apply it to other businesses and life in general, I think. But you've got to really be interested in it and research and look at new techniques and be able to put that into practice.
If you think you had to have someone, if you'd say like one attribute, I don't know, some people coming out of school, they're coming out of college, uni, and they're sat there going, I'm a fantastic, I don't know, tech wizard. Yeah. I know everything about Google. I know everything about this. I'm the best photographer in the world, whatever. But in terms of setting up the business, what's the actual one aspect you'd say is the thing that's made it actually happen? That, based on your own character.
It's an impossible question to ask. There's so many things. For starting your own business?
Yeah.
You got to be adaptable and be able to talk to people. It's as simple as that, really. For my kind of business, if you're selling products online, you need to be seen, and you don't have to speak to anyone if you've created that, that technology or whatever. But I think for SEO, if you've got aspirations of running your own or being a freelancer, even how you communicate is the difference between success and failure, right? I think.
Yeah. No, it's good. Well, I think that's a good time to leave it there. I'll let you close that.
Thanks for coming on. Giving up your time, and
you never know how to end these.
I might have lost a job.